Hey everybody, Brian Foote here to talk to you about one of the companies I mentioned, one of the stocks I mentioned in my book, which I'd love you to read from Insight to Upside. Get the book, I think you'll enjoy it. From a convexity investor's standpoint, looking for value. Starbucks is the kind of company that I write about in the book because it has the ingredients of being controversial, having great brand loyalty, and ultimately creating a category in and of itself. Because if you recall, back in the early 90s when Starbucks went public, it wasn't quite clear that specialty coffee and high-end coffee would take off the way it did. Starbucks went public in June of 1992. The IPO price was $17 a share, which is an effective price when adjusted for splits of about 27 cents a share. Right now, Starbucks stock is trading at about $100 a share. So if you calculate the total return of Starbucks, you would have seen about a 36,000% return, or $1,000 invested in Starbucks back at the IPO would be worth about $370,000. So why is this interesting to me? And of course, why is history so important? Well, as always, I'm not recommending you buy or sell an individual security. You have to do your own work there. But some of the secret ingredients that went into the Starbucks investment that ultimately turned every $1,000 into $370 is worth $370,000 is worth discussing. The other thing is this: over the course of that period, from 1992 to now, there were three periods where Starbucks had over 40% drawdowns. In the dot-com bubble and bust, you saw the stock decline 60% from its peak. In the financial crisis, the global financial crisis of 2007 through 9, you saw the stock go down about 75%. And during COVID-19, the pandemic in 2020, you would have seen the stock decline about 40%. So a couple things. Number one, volatility is ever present when buying companies, even great ones like Starbucks. And number two, the market does give you a chance to buy at 60%, 75%, and 40% discounts to where others thought this was trading. The third thing is that if you locked away $1,000, incidentally, I graduated high school right around the time Starbucks went public. If somebody had been smart enough to give me $1,000 worth of Starbucks stock, or indeed if I had been smart enough to invest my graduation money in $1,000 worth of Starbucks at the IPO, I would have $370,000 right now worth of Starbucks stock. Oh, and by the way, it would be kicking off dividends for me. What did Starbucks look like in 1992 when it went public? 140 stores, okay, and $93 million in revenue. So it wasn't a tiny company, but I do recall being a young stockbroker in 1993, 94, and the first Starbucks being opened in New York City, and I mentioned this in the book, but to the astonishment of a lot of older and very intelligent and wise investment managers saying, it's never going to last. This is a fad, paying $2-3 for a cup of coffee in a world of 50-cent cups of coffee. This makes no sense. Well, you fast forward to 2024, and it's hard to find a city without a Starbucks. There's 35,000 stores, up from, again, 140 back then. And revenue has gone up from 93 million to 36 billion. Starbucks is now in over 80 countries. Just a few things. You had to wait for the company to pay out a dividend until 2010. So you had to wait from 92 to 2010. You had to wait 18 years to get your dividend, but now they are paying you one. The capital appreciation of 336,000%, I mean, was probably enough to make you happy across that period of time. what are the things that make Starbucks a great business? Well, the brand loyalty is there. The fact is that some of the company's products, as well as its descriptions, think of a grande or a venti. These are Starbucks inventions, or a frappuccino. These are things that, of course, are called to mind when you think of Starbucks. Now, we'll talk later about companies that have had monikers and names that aren't necessarily a competitive moat, but I think that their brand loyalty is very high, and this was something that has been established over the past 3 decades of being public, and even the past over 4 decades of being in existence. Stay tuned for more, but this is the kind of company we study in my course. So thanks for joining.